Hi, I'm Dina Lee, and today we're looking at the community and conversations in what is formal and informal communications. We will start with at Marshall Middle School and we'll move to the left. So, at Marshall Middle School, internal communications between staff and the building is both formal and informal. From the administration, principals, assistants, principals, and the designee are included on all email communication, both in both directions and even amongst just the four of them, because we have a principal, two assistant principals, and always a designee who's included in the building so that they have understanding of what's going on as well. Usually that's an intern or something of that nature, or a team lead that needs to know information. The communication is informative. We have a weekly Thunderbird Times that comes out. We also share positives, support, and that comes in emails, communications, and face-to-face or phone communication between the either all four parties listed or all four parties and the school wide. It also looks at how are we going to engage families during the time frame? How are we going to improve the school with what we're going to do? It always lays out the plan. This is what the expectations are. This is how we deal with it. Email communication is the number one form of communication in our school building, then face-to-face and phone, but you always follow up with an email just to make sure. So then with staff, teachers, paras, custodians, and office staff, it's informative to review meetings and to share notes of meetings. Think a team meeting, how you share out the notes after the meeting so everybody's on the same page with what happened during the meeting and understands what everybody's role is after the meeting. It also is to share positive, support one another. Again, the main communication is email, then face-to-face and phone would be the order in which things were received, or the order of importance. With district personnel, this is used for building support. We have a special education liaison who attends our child study team meetings, our directors of student support services, and the mentor who assists principals, and the assistant soups for secondary, the assistant superintendent for the secondary level. That is based on informative communication, and it is formal, but it's also informal as well. It's we get the formal part because it shares directives and one-way communication from the district, but it also shows student support letter and student support services letter, which tells everything from special education changes and modifications to information for the nurses, to information for speech language paths, and administrators to understand what the new initiatives or changes are in any special education framework. It also shares positives, gives shout outs, and supports students. This is done email, face-to-face, and phone in an emergency situation. Then communication with students is both formal and informal. It is informative to share the positives and support. We use face-to-face communication as a priority with students, and then email, and then we share out grade level student of the month via email, and then we put that on social media as well. And then with our parents, it's informative. It is usually a formal one-way direction to share what's going on with the support and things. But in other ways, if we need to talk about something that happened in the classroom or give a positive phone call home, then that would be both an informal and formal, where we're going to do a two-way conversation with parents. And then phone, email, face-to-face, and social media. And then you always send a note home, but you also document everything in our working systems program. Then we have internal television systems within the building. We have 6 TVs posted throughout the building, and it's available to anyone who reads them. So anyone in the building, it's based to be informative, and it's informational posts. Like, for example, when the next concert is, when the tryouts are for athletics, or when the next after school activity is, or when a deadline is to buy a yearbook, things like that. Those are that's the information that's posted on the one-way media for the televisions throughout the building. Then when you think about the more formal communications that a school uses, who is that in between and what is it? That's generally a one-way communication, and it is between your school board members, district personnel, community members, parents, and partners. What does that look like? Well, underneath the school board members, you have an assigned district member who will share information with your building or seek information from your building so that they can have that for their meetings. And it is informative. It is generally by email. Occasionally we will have face-to-face when they stop in to tour the building so they can see what's going on with happenings. And then the district also uses their district TV channel to convey those meetings and share those meetings to the general public. They also use, the district also uses the 3 television stations, their social media pages, and informational phone calls home, but the general main form of communication is through the 3 television stations and then social media. District personnel, those would be our secondary superintendents or the assistant secondary superintendents for my school, because it's a middle school, and then student support services. Student support services is comprised of the people who oversee the counselors, social workers, school psychologists, speech language pathologists, and then underneath them we have some special education support people who come in and help with buildings. And communication there is one way, and it's usually informative, and most of the time it is formal unless there's an emergency, and then that becomes an informal communication you'll usually call in an emergency to try to get some help and support. With community members, for Marshall Middle School right now, our only community member that is trying to partner with us on a regular basis is our neighborhood church that is just right to the north of our building. And they are constantly trying to help volunteer with us and find local partners who can help with things. The counselor and I contact neighborhood stores to try to get donations for things, especially when we're doing events in the evenings, things like that. It is informative. It's usually one-way communication where we're sending out that shout-outs of the school. We do include them on all of our social media, so we make sure that they're partners with us, as in friends or followers, and then on email and phone communication as needed. Parents is an informative and it's informative, but it's both formal and informal. It's formal when we want to apprise them of the things that is going on in the school and let them know the processes and procedures. It's more informal, two-way when we're having those positive phone calls, and then it's formal again when we have to talk about discipline or something that is super important that is going on with students. And some of those things, it's not all bad. It's not all just discipline. It can be a student being honored for a recognition and they need to attend a school district function, something like that. How we will contact parents is to get information out to a large group of people is social media, then email for individual use, and then phone. We'll do the robocalls out to the school, to the parents of the students that are impacted. With our district partners, we have Biggs in Schools who comes in and help us. We also have Avid tutors who come in. Anything that we would send to them would be one-way communication that's informative, usually about the times and the availabilities of students, and that'd be a blanket email to all of them saying that this grade level is available at this time. This information is here. This is when we are going to have an event in the school building. That way, if they want to partner and come and set a table in, then they would be able to. So social media is how we also contact with them, make sure that they are followers with us, and then email, communication, and phone. One of the things that I found while researching this information for this article, for this assignment, and it was a difficult assignment for me because my mind doesn't think this way in creating a map or doing an assignment this way. So this was really difficult for me. But when you look at Wichita Public Schools, and I looked up their strategic communications, and their statement is that they will create and maintain and restore trusted relationships with Wichita Public Schools community through the impactful engagement and effective counsel to district leaders and staff through authentic storytelling and transparent communication. What I found interesting about that statement was that they were going to restore the relationship. And I know in the past years, 5, 10, 15 years ago, there was a contentious relationship between the school and the public, but I don't see that now. Maybe as we moved out of the pandemic, it made it a little bit better, but I just found that restore word in there interesting. The other thing is, how does Wichita Public Schools in general, so district level communication come out? It is usually formal. It comes out through their brand journalism, so their TV, the 3 major news stations here in Wichita, and then we use the WPS TV channel and social media. They use contact for marketing, employee engagement, and community engagement. So for contact marketing, they'll communicate with a level or a brand of people that they need to get with, and then employee engagement to get information out to employees, whether it's for our health and wellness benefits or giving us the day at the zoo for WPS employees, things like that. Community engagement is to let the community know what's going on in Wichita Public Schools, to share information. Those are the fun ones to watch and be a part of when they make them and see them. The other things is who and where and how do each of these work is at Marshall. Administration prefers email. Staff prefer email and face-to-face conversation, but the only problem with a face-to-face conversation, you have nothing to prove with it. District personnel, they use email conversations. They will occasionally come in the school building, but it's always documented with an email or a follow-up. With students, that is face-to-face communication and then email afterwards. And parents, and that is generally a phone or email conversation, and face-to-face or social media and notes, like I had said before. So what kind of things, what are the needs, who advocates for needs of the community, things like that? For our district, or for our building, it would fall under the staff piece here. It would be the counselor and the social worker who are reaching out to the community to get help and support for the building. And how to engage with families. It's all district or all building staff. When we try to, and what do? We send out a robocall. We update information on the in-school TV and on our social media page. So for us in general at our school, we also look at doing our everything in dual language, because we are 97% Hispanic. So all of our communication goes out both in English and Spanish. Thank you.